Welcome to this riveting, exciting episode of Embracing Hormones. I'm so excited because it is titled Dating, Hormones, and Health, Midlife Hacks, Mindset, and all sorts of really great tips from my guest, Laurie Gerber. Welcome, Laurie.
So good to be here. I love embracing hormones. It makes me want to embrace myself and love myself fully.
Perfect. And when we embrace ourselves, we jack up our oxytocin, as we know. And we're going to get right into all those goods of sexuality, relationships, dating. I have some really great questions that I'm dying to know because I'm kind of considering stepping my toe, maybe soon, into the dating world. Laurie Gerber, I've met. She lives in New York City. I love her. And I don't even know her that well. Why? Because she's smart. She's wise. She's quite funny. And every time I listen to Laurie on podcasts, in her Facebook community, of which is a really vibrant community, lots going on, she offers really practical, wise words about dating. And that's hard to come by, I have to say, as someone who's been following various dating coaches and relationships because of my work for years. So Laurie, welcome to the Embracing Hormones. And I know we have lots to talk about today.
Thanks for having me. Just so everybody knows, I love you too. And for everyone who's listening, I have been coaching menopausal women for the last 20 years in the area of dating. But I personally myself was on the pill. And approximately 72 days ago, but who's counting, I stopped taking the pill and I have become a menopausal woman. And I go to Camille for counsel about that. So Camille is kind of the little angel on my shoulder talking to me about managing my weight, my hot flashes, my mental capacity, my all the different wonderful things we all know can come with menopause. But I finally am now among you, one of you, and can speak about those symptoms firsthand. And I would say that I have a very unique take on those symptoms. But just so everybody understands our relationship, we whisper in each other's ears about these two topics. And we thought you might like to hear some of our whispering.
Yes, and I think we offer up some pretty great suggestions to one another and to our communities that are pretty useful. I love what you just said because now that you can actually really relate on a very physical and emotional level to the women you've been coaching, I'll quickly share with you. I have been coaching about hormones and health and nutrition for many years. I somehow thought I would be spared a lot of the menopausal symptoms because I'm like,
That's
I
totally
know so much. So one day, I literally, out of the blue, no warning whatsoever, I experienced a full blown hot flash. Like it came over me. I was drenched. I was mortified because I was at a business meeting. My whole face went red, and I went, "Oh, this is
I've
what
heard
this is
it.
about." And no wonder it's
Mhm.
debilitating and awful and terrible. And so, of course, that spurred me on to figure out more things. And there are so many things that we actually can be our own health advocate that we can do for ourselves in the hormonal world. But Laurie, why don't you tell us a little bit more of what's actually going on with you, if you don't mind?
Oh, I love telling everything. I actually made some notes. Let me just look them up because I have 5 symptoms and sometimes I forget one of them because apparently one of the symptoms is forgetting things. But I don't count that as one of my symptoms because I don't mind. I just write down my notes. But the 5 that I do count are um well, let's see. First let me back up and just say when our minds are incredibly susceptible to suggestion. Okay, we can agree on that, right? Our minds are incredibly susceptible to suggestion. So, the thing that I did wrong when I started to experience symptoms is I dove in so deep to all the research and all that was on the internet, and I got myself really messed up in the head and really negative thinking. Okay, I just want to share that with everybody. The more I read about symptoms, the more I experienced those symptoms. And I actually had to call my coach and say, you know, for some reason, the more I'm researching, the worse I feel. Right? Like for some reason, this is not going well. And she said, you forgot mind over matter. You forgot that what you think and what you believe affects how you feel. And that was like a huge wake up call to me. And I decided in that moment, I reclaimed my menopause. I'm very happy to say I was only about 29 days in, but I reclaimed it and I said, I'm taking charge of this. I'm going to be the boss of this. This is happening for me, not to me. If it happens to every woman in the world who makes it to this age, it can't be a curse. It has to be a blessing designed by the divine for our good, right? And I can't believe, just like I can't believe puberty is somehow a punishment or a period is a punishment, I don't believe that menopause is a punishment. So I reclaimed it and I started to think about, number one, what are all the reasons I can expect it to go well? And you and I have really discussed how much the way that I exercise, the spirituality that I practice, the way that I eat, the way that I hydrate, the all of the things that I do that most of us know are the right self-care to do, but not all of us do, I have a right to believe that will help my menopause be better. And so I kind of like remembered I'm not your average person because of all the things I'm doing. And that helped me start to have a positive expectation. And then I decided that it wasn't that I was going to, first of all, my symptoms subsided substantially just from that. Like just from that, I started to notice way less. Right. And I wasn't spiraling. But then I decided each symptom, I was going to have a special relationship with each symptom because I believe that the powers that be communicate to us through our bodies. And we don't have burning bushes anymore. We have burning bushes. Get it?
Touche. There's the mindset right there.
Right. So
Language matters.
yeah. So because I think that, I mean, I don't know what was happening in olden times when really quite miraculous seeming things would happen, but I think a very simple way for infinite intelligence to communicate to us is through our body. So I decided I was going to take each symptom and really try to get whatever message it was trying to give to me. So I'll just take it one symptom at a time, and then I will let you I will let you say, say what you tell women about these things. So the first one is the hot flashes. First of all, I just think they're hilarious. I honestly just think it's hilarious when you could just be like, la 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 la, and then suddenly like a furnace emergence from the depths of your consciousness. I just think I'm still like giggle every time it happens. I'm like, oh, I'm having one, everyone, I'm having one. So to me, first of all, it just denotes how powerful our bodies are. So I love that for that reason. And the second thing is I just think it's funny, and I talk to other people. I educate men, and what's the word? I relate to women, right? So I use it to bond with women and update and educate men. Although men have flashes too, as it turns out. But
And
anyway,
that's very much that mindset, though, because what
right.
you've done, which I love, the fact that you're finding the humor in it, Laurie,
Yeah,
is the whole thing with the whole menopausal or perimenopausal symptoms is it feels like it's out of our control. People talk about that all the time. I think a lot of women end up in a state of almost overwhelm because all these changes are happening. Sometimes it's only one or two at a time.
right.
Other times it's the moodiness, the forgetfulness, the hot flashes, the where'd my sex drive go? Where did this belly fat come from that wasn't there yesterday? I
Right.
can't sleep anymore. And I can understand completely why women would feel in overwhelm because it feels like it's out of their control. So what you've done is I think you've been able to break it down into manageable pieces. So you're putting yourself back in the driver's seat. And that's really, but my messaging is very similar. And that's probably why we get along so well, is we have to be our own best health advocate, and we do have to be proactive. Nobody else is going to look after us the way we are. And, the beauty is
Hmm.
humor helps along without question. And
Let's
hot
prescribe
flashes,
that. I'm
yeah,
prescribed universally.
I think in all of it, including, I know we're going to talk more about sexuality, but maybe especially in sexuality, it's supposed to be fun. But just to quickly talk about hot flashes, that's really our estrogen. So we can't control what our estrogen is doing as it's starting to bottom out. And when our estrogen comes back up, the hot flashes go away, lo and behold, and we think, oh, I'm through it. But no, no, the next time your estrogen plummets, we're not through it. So we can start to eat certain foods that are act as phytoestrogens. I mean, I can put some of those into the comments. Simple things like that can make a big difference. Controlling your room temperature, we know that. Many a woman has been sleeping in a very chilled room
Yes.
for many a night. And the beauty is, I always tell myself, this is temporary. And
Yes.
it is. With rare exception, it ends and you feel better. It's just a
Right.
matter of when.
My favorite is opening the refrigerator and just sticking my face in, or the air conditioning. It's just so funny. It really is funny. Okay, so that leads me to the next one, which is hot headaches. Headaches. That was actually what got me really in a tizzy, because a few times I got such a bad headache that I couldn't keep working in the day, and I love my work. So my new context for headaches is, first of all, greatly subsided once I stopped stressing myself out and trying to listen to every YouTube on the internet about menopause. That really helped my headache. But what it forced me to do, and what I think menopause actually forces women to do, is to take care of themselves. So every time I get a migraine, I know I'm supposed to go to the bed. Take to the bed, as I call it. I'm to take to the bed.
Oh, I say that. I used to say that even in high school. I'm taking to my bed.
Take to the
It's a
bed.
great, it's
I'm
a
starting.
reprieve.
That's the only cure for migraines that I know, and I'm grateful that my migraines usually set in after 4 p.m., so it's much easier to take to the bed. But it just, if the powers that be want me to stop working and need me to go detox something, heal something, rebalance something, I'm gonna listen.
May
So
I give you a tip on your migraines,
please,
if I
thank you.
may?
Always
So
hope.
I agree. If you're listening to your body is absolutely the best thing in doing what you need to do. So we can get into some of those tips later. And sometimes rest and taking to your bed. I had a podcast guest on when we were talking about having a little afternoon siesta. If that's what your body's telling you that you need 10 or 15 minutes, then we can do that. Magnesium L-theanine is a specific type of magnesium, and those who know me know I'm a huge magnesium fan. There's
Mhm.
many different types. So specifically magnesium glycinate is my favorite all round for relaxation, for muscles, for mood, for sleep. But for headaches, which come often with it's the interplay between progesterone and estrogen, magnesium L-theanine has the unique quality of passing into our brain barrier, crossing the brain barrier. And it works on our cognitive, which is really important as we get older. And it helps a lot of women, I'm not going to say all, with the headaches and the migraines that come. So worth a try.
Yeah, see, I needed just a private consultation, not to go down the rabbit hole of the internet. Thank you. I will look for the spelling of that later. Okay. So then this is in no particular order. I'm having more trouble losing weight. And I will say again, Camille, you've been a huge support to me, both in helping me figure out how to have enough protein, have delicious protein through these delicious isogenic shakes that you've turned me on to. You've confirmed what I already know about hydration, but you've also finally gotten through to me that I need to be lifting weights. So I am the arrogant girl that's like, I do Pilates, I stretch, I jog every day, I walk miles and miles, but I'm not well, I am now lifting literal weights, but I wasn't, and Camille just had to say it approximately 12 times, and then I finally listened. And so, your body, I don't, I actually have the theory that I'm gonna lose weight easily when I'm menopause. Like, I don't really think I don't believe for me that it's gonna make it harder for me to lose weight. But I was very interested, and I continue to be very interested in the ways that I can use this moment of change to get better habits, to bring in better habits, more awareness and better habits. And you've really helped me with that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And you've been very coachable, which I also love. And I mean, the power, I say it a lot, but the power of simple, and it is actually simple nutrition used properly in the right balance of nutrients can literally work miracles in our body. And that is a big part, like you said, of taking charge. I'm a huge believer in what I call the 11-day reset, but just that combination of high quality protein, carb, fat shakes. Yes, we need carbs. I've had to work on Laurie on that one, but the right carbs, because carbs are our brain food as well, right? And the combination of adding in adaptogens, which help us deal with stress, and cortisol, which can contribute to everything, and coupled with some detoxing, cleanse days. Laurie and I are doing a cleanse day tomorrow. I'm actually excited because you drop the body fat, but more importantly, we're getting rid of some of those toxins and that extra, load. Does it make a difference? For sure it does, because you feel better. And it's really about, like you said, what are the tips that you can do every day to feel better, right? And you're finding them.
And may I just say, I mean, I'm focused on the weight loss aspect. I mean, that's what I was coming to you for advice about, but annoyingly, I have so much more energy. Like because when I started this journey before protein shakes, I really enjoyed being tired. I would just go to bed at 8:40, 9 o'clock, and I'd get 8 hours of sleep, and I really actually enjoyed being tired, but I can barely get tired the way that I don't know if anyone else is looking for energy. I wasn't, but it is it's an annoying side effect of eating in this way is that I seem to have incredibly increased energy during the day, and it really tastes good. So I was someone who was just eating healthy food, but to be able to replace a healthy meal with a delicious protein shake for me that's easier and it tastes really yummy and kind of like replaces my sugar urges, I'm kind of like, how am I getting away with this?
Now it
That's my
sounds like a
feeling.
win, a total win-win, and it is. And it's really just insurance of making sure we're still eating other food. It's sustainable lifestyle. I love what you said, though. You may have had enough energy before, and I certainly do. I've got lots of energy. Many, many women come to me, Lori, and they tell me they're tired, they're really low energy, and they're stressed. That's what I hear an awful lot of. I want to finish hearing about your symptoms, but I also want to make sure we switch gears because I'd like to talk a little bit more about how all of these things play into a dating life.
Well, I'm gonna end on my vagina, so that'll be a perfect segue.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect,
So there's
perfect.
just one more. Remember, only 5 symptoms. So the next one is waking up in the middle of the night. And I'm pretty used to waking up in the middle of the night, but falling pretty easily back to sleep. And I'm also someone who's had insomnia, so I would wake up in the middle of the night and stay up for hours and hours. So I have all like a whole range of experiences with middle of the night. As soon as I went off the pill, up like every 2 to 3, like just up. Why? So that was a rude awakening because I don't think I understood how much the pill was regulating the estrogen progesterone situation. But I have again, it's forcing me to work with my mind even more than I normally would. And it is, I've decided to take it as an opportunity for meditating and manifesting when I am awake so that I don't have to hate being awake or be mad at being awake. So, first of all, I leave enough time for sleep. That's really important, right? So that even if I'm up a little bit, I still have enough time. I think that is embracing hormones as far as I'm concerned. And then the second thing is I'm using that time, in a spiritual way productively. But if you have some other tips, I'm all ears.
Magnesium glycinate,
I do take
200 to
that too.
400 milligrams before bedtime is a game changer for so many women. I also use, I love isogenics, but I use a sleep spray that they have that's a combination of valerian root, melatonin, chamomile, some other soothing botanicals. Doesn't give grogginess. And just on those nights, a couple sprays under your tongue, it really makes a big difference. That deep restorative sleep, so important. So
Mhm.
I think it's really that's a great tip on your part to use the time for spirituality, meditation, though, and manifesting, because that's still resting too, resting the body, and that's really what it's all
They
about. Is
say
how do we recoup?
actually.
Is we rest. So I think you're on to something. And also remembering this too shall pass. That piece is usually temporary as women start to get their cortisol. But I'd love you to really up the magnesium glycinate and report back.
Okay, I'm gonna go look at the current dosage I'm taking. I take 2 at night, but I don't know what the milligrams are, so I'll check. And maybe I don't take them close enough to bed because I usually take them around 6 or 7, and that's a few hours, right? Just okay, that could be a great tweak. Okay, let's talk about my vagina. All right, overnight it changed. Overnight without the pill. Bye bye estrogen. Hello pain. So, I mean, I truly feel so eye-opened about it because I could see it just change overnight, essentially, with the removal of the hormones I was getting, right, from the pill. So, uh, like, what used to be slippery is now squeaky, and what used to be delightful is now painful and requires a lot of negotiation, okay? I'm sure a lot of women relate to this, but again, how I have contextualized this now is an opportunity to become more intimate and connected with my partner, to reopen communications, to get out of our routines, and to just ultimately expand what's possible in my sex life. But that was a rude awakening. I've had to really uh change my change up my lube game, um, which is good for everyone. I highly recommend that. But if you have other suggestions,
Oh, I do. I do. And this is another one, if I may say, Laurie, I'm so glad you brought this up. And I appreciate you, and I'm sure our audience does as well, sharing with us about your vagina. I think, you know what? We don't talk enough about it. Very important. And this is real stuff, right? I mean, this happens to maybe not all women in perimenopause, menopause, but my goodness, it's a lot. And many of us suffer in silence
yeah,
because it's really not something we really want to talk about. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And yes, there are things that we can do. This is again back to estrogen. We've lost a lot of our estrogen. Our adrenal glands will kick in and make some. If we're really stressed, though, guess what? Our adrenal glands don't do that. So again, managing stress, number one thing. But that estrogen causes the tissues to atrophy. I hate that word, but that's the truth. Thin, they lose the elasticity. And so some women talk about it feeling like sandpaper, which is right away, we are not happy with that when we think about it. And the whole thing is sex and sexuality, sex play is supposed to be play. It's supposed to be fun. Pain does not equal fun. So I love what you said. Sexuality is a continuum. It isn't just intercourse or just this or just that. It's this whole continuum. So the positive is exactly what you're doing, exploring different ways that one can be sexual with your partner or with yourself. And there are lots of different ways. What are some of the things we can do to help restore and plump up that tissue again? Well, a lot of people talk about coconut oil. I have not found that it works that well, and you smell a bit like a salad. But, or, well, if that's the truth. However, it's worth
honestly, I've been using coconut oil all along, so that's just a normal smell to me. But it does not solve this problem for me.
it, and it doesn't. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
And it doesn't for a lot of women. I am a huge proponent of replenishing our collagen, and I won't go into all the details now, but the collagen elixir I drink is all about connective tissue. Vaginal tissue, ladies, is connective tissue. So collagen makes a big difference from the inside out. The other things are just bonuses, better skin, hair, blah, blah, blah. However, that helps. Then there's this cream that I've discovered called Julva, and I'm going to put the link below. This
vulva for your vulva.
Julva for your vulva, and I'm pretty sure that was intentionally named. This
Nice.
cream, though, I have found actually works because it's got a little bit of DHEA in it, which is a hormone, but that hormone doesn't go systemic. It just stays quite localized around the vaginal tissue. It's also got a lot of the moisturizers. So above and beyond a lubricant, we also want and need a vaginal moisturizer. You know, we moisturize our skin. We want to moisturize in a way that it's absorbed, just like we do with our skin. So, in my opinion, the combination of collagen elixir with Julva is a winning combination. And really, Lori, why I love it is because it's long term. We're actually fixing the problem. We're not masking the problem with lubricants and stuff. And I think for most women, sexual health, sexuality in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s and beyond
Yeah,
is quite fun and liberating. We don't have to worry about the kids being at home and, getting pregnant and all sorts of other things. We're much more confident.
yeah,
Body image is a lot more for most intact and more confident. Okay, can I talk about and ask you about
yes,
how when women are dating and men,
yes.
how does this firstly all, I don't know, contribute, play out in the dating thing? And big question that I get asked all the time, and I know you do too. How do people know when they're dating, when is the right time to
Mm.
have sex and to
Nice.
be intimate?
Okay, so hold that question. You might have to remind me of that. Let's first just talk about how this is impacting my daters. So, if you're going to date optimally, right? Like you're going to go out, you're going to sparkle, you're going to attract high caliber people, you're going to have fun on your dates, you're going to pick well. You need a clear mind. You need to love your body and you need to feel good. Period. So this is all just the foundation for dating as far as I'm concerned. And when I have a new client come to me, I don't go right into dating tactics or right into, how to communicate on dates, all of which is very much a part of my digital course. I start with, are you even ready to date? If you do not love your body, if you are not getting sleep, if you do not feel good in your day-to-day life, you are not going to attract the caliber of human that you want to attract. Period. So this is all for me foundational of helping somebody. And I really do try to help them contextualize this as this is an appropriate spiritual, I call it, but you could call it emotional if you want to, if spiritual doesn't fit. But this is, you're walking through a gate. It is like adolescence. Everything is changing. That's okay. That's designed. That's part of the design. So how do we reclaim it, use it, and walk through it as gracefully as possible? That is really the first step in getting someone ready to date.
So I love this, Laurie, because you really are hand holding and coaching. You're not just throwing out, because I've listened to a lot of the dating coaches, and a lot of them just are throwing out steps, 7 steps to successful dating and that sort of thing. And there's a place for that, but you're really giving them the front end coaching of be ready, it seems, right? And taking it right through. And I couldn't agree more. If you're not feeling good within yourself and you didn't sleep last night and you're stressed up like this, you don't want to even go on a date.
And you don't want to know what you're dragging in if that's your vibration, right? So it really is so profound and so fundamental that you have to do you first. You have to do the self-love first in order to attract what you really want. And I'm in the business of not suffering and getting disappointed anymore. Like really, so that my clients are with me generally when they actually finally do get back out on the dating sites or in the dating world, they're pretty sure it's going to work, right? They're pretty sure it's going to work. They're pretty sure they're good enough. They're pretty sure they're going to attract somebody great. They're pretty sure they can sustain it. And that is the benefit of doing the work.
Doing the work. And so you're helping them with confidence, is also what you're saying.
Yeah.
Believing in themselves and that they're worthy and worth a partner that's worthy.
And that's also what comes with doing the right thing. So we all hear you should drink this water, you should take these supplements, you should get outside every day, you should exercise, you should, intermittent fast, all the things that we hear, you should have X amount of protein, you should weight lift. But whether or not you do that actually, is really critical here. So my clients are actually doing the things that are right for them. And it's different for every client what that is, but it's really critical. So that's what increases your confidence actually. And that is what then shines out to everyone. Okay. To your question about sex, since we're talking about it, I teach my clients to hunt from the perspective of the head, the heart, and the hoo-ha. Because most people sell out on one or more of those. They pick someone sensible, maybe they fall in love, but they're not turned on. Or they get really turned on and they can make it work for a while, but there's not a lot of trust there, right? Or they really fall in love with someone and it's really hot, but the person wants to live across the planet from them, or, really needs to be 100% attentive to the kids or the business or something, right? So there's not a practical match. So I train my clients to look for all 3 H's, and I do not suggest having sex until all 3 H's are 8 or above, scale of 1 to 10 for each of
Eight,
you.
eight or above.
Or above, no more.
And just to get this right, all three being
All
equal,
three. Not equal, but equally voiced. So
equal. So 8 out of 10 are close to it, but each of these three.
9 could be 10. You get 8, 9, or 10. I don't even recommend having a first date unless your who has at a 6, right? Like, so if you could not even imagine ever kissing, abort the mission very quickly. But
Save a lot of time.
well, again, exhaustion is real. This dating fatigue phenomena is real because people don't know how to date. and they're wasting a ton of time, and then they're falling in love with inappropriate people, which is heart-wrenching for them and the other person. And they really do come to me, and they're exhausted, they're disappointed, they don't know how to say no, they don't want to say no again, they don't want to be said no to. It's so emotional and dramatic if you don't have tactics. So we have a very robust, and we don't have time for it today, but we have a very robust system of analyzing the head, the heart, and the hoo-ha to see if it's a match, and no fourth date unless it is both ways, right? You match their criteria, they match your criteria, and you've done the work to get to know each other in those 3 days. You don't have time to have sex. You need to be talking. You need to be walking and talking, drinking and eating and talking and walking some more and talking. And that's really what needs to be happening on those dates. So then if that happens, scale of 1 to 10, all above an 8 on all 3 H's, I recommend, especially to women, but I'm going to extrapolate this to anyone who's looking for their person. If you're not looking for your one and only soulmate, do whatever you want about sex. As long as you've talked about how to do it safely, you've made your agreements with each other, and you're both hot for each other, rock on. But if you are looking for your person, your soulmate, your one and only forever, I recommend the following other criteria be met besides that you're both hitting 8 or above on all 3 H's, meaning it makes sense to continue and pursue a long-term relationship. I recommend you establish monogamy. And part of my course is the 4 steps for establishing monogamy. It's a step-by-step. Here's how you frame it. Here's how you say it. Here's how you talk about it. Here's how you agree to it. Here's how you get it in writing. Because if it is not in writing and you have not agreed upon it specifically, it is not in place. You have not established monogamy. A lot of people feel surprised that they're not monogamous. They thought they were. Well, you weren't. Okay. So I would recommend establishing monogamy. I would recommend together looking into your sexual health. In other words, if they can prove they've been recently tested and they're clean, fine, but why not go together, right? What a great date. Off to the clinic to find out how everyone's sexual health is. Again, I just can't tell you how many people tell me stories when they skip that step that are not very happy stories. So if you're not comfortable enough with a person to talk about sexual health, and you're not comfortable enough to, ask for what you need to feel safe and to supply the return, or tell that you have herpes or whatever's going on with you, you're not ready to have sex. So 8 or above, establish monogamy, seen each other's test results. That's my minimum, actually, for when it's time to have sex. And if you like the person and you're hot for the person and you're a good match, all the waiting just makes it hotter. Truly just makes it hotter. I waited 6 months with my husband, and it was awesome. I
Love it.
recommend it.
Clarity. You have such good clarity. I know we're about to run out of time. That's a perfect segue, Laurie. How can people gain access to you and your clarity, your tactics? Because I just want to say, I think having dated years ago and not for a long time, I think that's the piece that's missing for many men and women is I don't, it's so vague, and I don't know how to judge this, and I don't know, I
I
feel
literally
this,
say,
I think I feel this, and then
yeah,
it's just jumbled, I think is kind of it. So you're offering up this clarity. So how do people work with you?
very simple. Go to lauriegerber.com. LAURIEGERBER.com. You will see free things like a masterclass and blogs, so much content. I've been creating content for 20 years. And then you will also see very inexpensively priced digital course, and you will see, for when you really want to get access to me and to do the homework assignments. And then you will see uh, a consult possibility if you want to do private coaching, which is not for everybody, but might be the situation if you're listening and you need a coach.
Yeah, and I actually think most people would benefit from it. And you do have a Facebook group because I know I'm part of it. And there's a lot going on in your group. You offer up all sorts of tips and suggestions, and women share their experiences. So can anybody join your?
Anybody can join that group. I actually, that's not true. We are looking for women. It is specifically geared towards women over 50. If you identify as a woman and you're not over 50, I'll still let you in. We're not really letting in people who identify as men, um, because it is kind of a safe space for women to talk about those issues. But so thank you for asking that. I do need to clarify that. But that's a great example of a free resource to get in on, and hopefully you'll link that in the show notes and people can easily just click over.
We'll link everything in the show notes so people can find you and access you. And if you're interested in any of the products or supplements that I've mentioned, you can just go to embracinghormones.com. Everything is there, or always reach out and I can do a consult with you. And those links will be in the show notes as well as some of the magnesium and a few very key important things that can make such a big difference. Well,
All the
Laurie,
show notes.
okay. Well, you and I already have our one-on-one coaching, relationship going. So
I have and if somebody else has a wonderful consult, maybe you'll let them be on the podcast too.
maybe not. You've just got so much interesting things to talk about. And I think we could do this again because I know we barely even scratched the surface of dating and health and vaginas and sex. There's so much more to talk about and how to create all of those dynamics, healthy dynamics in a relationship that's moving along in that dating realm. So can't wait till we can do it again. Laurie, thank you very much for being part of the show.
You're so welcome. See you soon. Bye, everyone.
Haven't we made it, my love?